Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. This is Devi, your host for the Get Happy podcast. Let's do this. And today I have one of my favorite people as a guest, Miss Julie Tuton. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, Rutrani, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, this is an amazing lady. She is also an author like myself. As you know, Choosing Happiness is the reason why we have this Get Happy podcast. And I fell in love with Julie again when I read her book, Beauty in the Breakup. So before I jump into all of that, would you mind telling our listeners who you are, what you do, who you be, and maybe a little bit about this book?
Sure. Yes. Who am I? Well, I'm somebody, this is so interesting. One of my neighbors summed it up. She's like, Julie, you create beauty in the world. And that's what I just love to do. Whether it's, creating a room or creating your body or creating a relationship or a breakup. It all can be with this aesthetic of beauty. And that's what I create.
And don't forget, you have a beautiful jewelry line as well.
Yes, I create jewelry and I'm an artist and a mom, a single mom, and an Access certified facilitator for many, many years. And it's just been an amazing journey. There's so much. What do people want to know? I'm happy to share.
Well, when did you first find Access? How did you get there? I always love to know the story of how people discover it.
Well, I've always been a different person. When I was 9, I learned Reiki and started meditating.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I guess I've always been a seeker and always was really interested in intuition and knowing and things like that. And I would just sort of teach myself to strengthen those muscles. And eventually, when I moved out to California, I had this chiropractor who always did these weird California modalities. And one day I went with a pain in my neck and I thought it was from making jewelry. And he asked me a question, what is a pain in the neck? And I was like, oh, my husband and the kids. And then he said the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, because he had just become a certified facilitator.
Oh.
And when he said those magical words, all of the pain in my neck left. He hadn't even touched me. And I was like, oh my God, what is that?
Right.
I would like to learn more. And that was 2003.
Oh, can you do a shout out? Who was it that you actually went to see?
Well, he's no longer
a
facilitator, so that's okay. He did some interesting things with women. And so I realized I had to step up and become a facilitator because this work was too important to, send my friends there.
Understood. Wow. 2000.
So I didn't set out to become a facilitator, but I knew I had to.
That's how it showed up for me, because I first met Access Consciousness in 2003. And I was like doing Access Light, I was like, I'll learn how to facilitate bars, but I don't ever want to be a CF, and I'll learn these body processes, but I'll never be a CF. And I would host all these other CFs. And then finally, my peeps were like, when are you going to teach a foundation class? And it was one of those things where I asked, what could this create and generate for my life? Mm-hmm. I love one of the questions in Access Consciousness: what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this? Mm-hmm. And I felt, it almost knocked me over when I asked that question. And I knew that the CF training was coming up, Certified Facilitators Training in Costa Rica was coming up quickly. So I texted the founder, Gary Douglas, and was like, what would it take for me to get there? And he goes, don't stop asking that question. And so I was driving to Paducah, Kentucky to teach a class. And it was like a 3-hour drive. And I was like constantly doing these clearings, and asking the question, what would it take? What would it take? And, short story is I managed to get there. I think I had not even a month to get all the stuff that you have to, because it's a lot, people. You got to know what you're doing when you become a certified facilitator. But lots of classes I had to take online. I don't think I slept for until I actually got to Costa Rica.
A lot of content to digest.
It's quite a lot, but it has really changed my world. I mean, before access, after access, give us your experience.
Yeah, well, before access, I was trying to do the perfect version of this reality and create this, perfect, beautiful veil of life. And after, it's like, wow, the more you uncover yourself, the less you can actually be that projection and the pretense. It just got too difficult to uphold. And that's when things start to seem to fall apart, but yet they're actually falling together. And so all the extraneous things in your life that you think you need or you think you're supposed to do fall away. And what is true for you starts to emerge, and it starts to create so much easier and greater. Like, you don't have to use the force and the effort to create. You can just ask and things show up. And it's quite amazing that every day can get greater and greater on the journey. Like, you're never done.
No, that's a true story. It's funny because when you said the force, all I could think of was, may the force be with you, Luke.
It's a different kind of force.
Like it is kind of like the Matrix, where you're tapping into everything. And you always know that once you get to that space of following what works for you, following your knowing. That's what I love about it. My life has become so much easier. I don't have to, it's not hard work anymore. I just ask questions and I go with I love that tool, the heavy light tool. What's true for you makes you feel lighter. Like, if I choose this, will it create for me? I'm on LinkedIn and I'm not sure why. And this one guy reached out to me with this whole program that they're doing with the science and to have the perfect body, chemically perfect body, And I saw it and immediately went, okay, body, is this true for us? No. Okay. So I moved on. Well, I guess, I should have said, thank you very much. No, thank you, or something. Cause he comes at me 2-3 days later, says, have you even seen this email? This isn't like all the random emails you get in your junk box. I really, could perceive, or he didn't use that word, but that this could really work for you and your clients. And so I came back with him and I said, I really appreciate you sharing this with me. And I told the truth. I said, it's just not light for me. As a holistic therapist, I follow my knowing and my body's telling me no. But thank you so much for reaching out to me. I didn't know what else to do. Whereas before I might have pained about it and gone, I better research this guy or research this modality and see if, maybe I should give it a try. It was like this 8-week program or something. But that's what I love about it. It just makes my whole life so much easier.
Yeah. And like, trusting your knowing becomes this ever growing and ever expanding journey of strengthening that muscle. I mean, recently I just let go of a lease for my retail business. And in doing so, the amount of energy that all of a sudden became available to me from this freedom of not having to go to this space every single day. Right. And also recognizing the energy that I do put into places to create them being this beautiful, energetic experience. When I pull my energy out, I have so much energy to create other things. And so as soon as I said, no, I'm going to pass and I'm not going to renew the lease, all this business started coming in. And it's like, and then you can acknowledge, oh, wow, like, this place was just 4 walls, but I made it this magical space where people would come in and go, wow, what is this? It feels so different in here. Right. But looking at, we are the source of the creation of our business. The business isn't the source of the creation of our income. And that's always been a big thing. It's like, if you think that your job or your business is the source, then you're not recognizing you're the source.
I love that you said it that way. It reminds me of something that Dane said, and instead of practicing, how did he put it? He goes, play. What if you showing up as you is what's required, and that's what's creating? It's not about, okay, of course you've got to actualize some things to make your business work. But what if the business was just you being you and you being the
Yeah.
invitation? And, being, while we're recording this, it's early 2021, or it's March, isn't it? Early March. And the world's very interesting. And so for a year now, we've been doing things very differently. And I've met so many amazing people due to this very interesting time because of Zoom. For example, we've never actually been in a physical room together, but how many calls have we been on together?
Well, we were in certified facilitators together. I remember hanging out at the pool.
Oh, wait,
Do you remember?
my first year. That's right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's why you sound so familiar. Oh my, y'all. I don't have much of a brain left anymore, which I'm actually quite happy about.
Yeah. It's okay.
Okay, so I have been in the same pool, which they had this saltwater pool at this facility where we do certified facilitators. I can't wait till the day when we can get back there, maybe in 2022. But it was such a magical place, such a magical place. Wow.
Mhm.
So I want you to tell the story about how this book came about, because it's got a lot of access speak in it as well. So how was this beauty created?
Yeah, that beauty was created when I realized that I was married for 20 years, and the last 5 years of our marriage, we were both certified facilitators of access. So it really helped keep us together for that extra 5 years. But um, I just realized that we were actually better friends
Mm.
than lovers. And Gary kept saying in the classes, like, the only reason to be married is to have sex. And I would cringe and I'd be like, shit, what am I doing? Because I
Right.
had decided when I was a kid that I would never get divorced.
Oh.
And my parents got divorced when I was really young.
Mm.
So I stuck it out for 20 years. And then we were really good friends, and we actually used the tools and ran bars and did all of this to move through our separation and divorce. And it was very kind and gentle. And it worked.
Mm.
And our lives got greater until a certain point where he left Access, and then he started making Access the reason
Ah.
that we separated. But that is not true. Um, and in the process of it, Gary actually had me come on his first radio show. What was it? Consciousness? I can't remember. On Voice
Right.
America.
Voice America was a long time ago. Wow.
Yeah. And he said, get to work, write the book. God damn it. So I started writing the book. And I guess it took me too long. So he wrote Divorceless Relationships and published it before my book came out. But mine is more of an introduction, and anybody can actually use the tools. It's organized. Yeah. It's organized
For those that see this
into
in future, but go on. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
it's organized into steps of what you move through to create separation
Mhm.
and divorce and move on and start creating your life. And each step has different tools. So if you're in the place where you're constantly thinking of the past, that's step 2, dissolving the past. So you use those tools. So it's really great for people who don't know all the tools, who've never maybe heard of them at all, because you can pinpoint where you're at and which tools will work. And there's 4 or 5 tools in each section.
I loved it, and I've recommended it to several people that are not necessarily wanting to go through a divorce, but just trying to make their relationships make sense. You know.
Yeah, I would say half the people just create their relationship greater, and half the people use it for separating and divorce. It's for either, and it's a question, not a
Love it.
conclusion.
He says, write the book, damn it. I had a different experience at that first CF that I went to. I was sitting in the splash zone, of course, the front row, right in front of Gary. I don't want to miss a thing. And I'm being a very bad humanoid, and I'm texting him during the class. And it just came, could hear these whisperings. And I said, what would it take for me to write an Access 101 friendly book for those that don't know about Access consciousness? Because, if you meet us at an event, we talk a little differently. So
Yeah.
some people, you can't impale that kind of conversation on them. They're not going to get it. But this book was very pragmatic, like yours, where it just basically takes you through these tools, little baby steps, and shows how pragmatic and easy it can be. So I'm just so grateful that you wrote this little book. It's been a tremendous tool for my clients as well. I do a lot of relationship counseling, so it has been, I mean, everyone that has read it has had positive feedback. So whatever you guys do out there in podcast land, please don't buy it. Okay.
You know what's really funny? I was looking for a new place to live, and I contacted a real estate agent to show me a townhouse, I think it was, a few years back after the book was released. And she said, now I know Julie Tuton, the jewelry store, but are you also Julie Tuton, the author? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said, well, I found this book, Beauty in the Breakup. And I gave it to my friend who was going through a horrible divorce. And she hates the word divorce. So this title really called to me. And I was like, oh, awesome. And she said that the woman read it, it changed her life. She gave it to her daughter, it changed her life. And then they gave it to the ex-husband and changed his life.
Wow.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's doing what I had created it for.
You never know how it's going to show up. It's like, I feel like I'm chasing a toddler with this book. It speaks 3 languages now. It speaks Portuguese and Spanish. It's getting translated into Russian, if you can believe that the Russians want to get happy. And then I just got asked, I don't know, I guess it was last week, if it could be translated into Slovenian. So
Wow.
I know, I'm thinking, that's not exactly what I expected. I thought, okay, maybe Italian next, since I'm Italian. And then Gary was like, well, the Italians don't read. So
You can do it. You can do the audio.
I have done the audio, and it should be available in another, I actually did it a year ago, but it took so long to get all the parts together. Emily did the about the author. Heather Nichols did the forward. So there's all these different voices on it. And it took a while to get it arranged and all that, but it's finally been turned in, and it should be available, I'm hoping, by the end of March, maybe mid-April. So how does it get any better than that? Whew.
How does it?
Yeah, life is just too good, y'all. This has been an amazing conversation, and I could talk to you for hours, and can't wait to play with you again in the salt pool or wherever we find ourselves. Thank you so much for this. Is there like one thing you want to leave our listeners with? Maybe a favorite tool, or just something that works for you that you want to share?
I guess I would say the choice. People always have choice, and we think we don't, especially when you're in a relationship.
Mm.
So my book is really to start learning about choosing for you and finding basically what it takes to create your life. And that can be alone, or it can be in a relationship, or however you like. But that choice is always available. No
Mhm.
matter who you are or where you are, you can always choose again.
That's a true story. Choice will always create for you. Thank you so very, very much. Where can my listeners
Thank you.
find you?
Well, there's so many places. There's the Access Consciousness website. I have julietutonenergy.com is my Access website. Beautyinthebreakup.com is the book's website. And if you'd like sparkly jewelry that brings out your being, it's julietuton.com.
I love it. Well, I'm going to make sure to get all those things from you so that it can be
Awesome.
available with the podcast. And then later when this lives on YouTube, you'll be able to actually see beautiful Julie. And thank you so much for being my guest today. And if you guys enjoyed this, please subscribe, share it with others that you think could benefit from this. Perhaps you know someone out there that's having a hard time in relationship or could use some practical tools. Share this book. Yeah. And until next time, podcast land. Ciao, ciao for now.